Hello.
Excellent. Hello, everyone. Everyone's piling in. There's Randy and Connie. Hey, Connie. I see you again. Ooh, approve. Janet's here. Megan's here. Hi, Megan. Megan, thanks for your nice notes on LinkedIn. I appreciate that. Jen, nice to see you, Jen. Lots of familiar faces. Justin's back again. Justin's front and center almost every week. Hi, Justin. It's good to see you. It's been great. Welcome everyone. It is 10 a.m. on the button on the nose as usual. I like to kind of just dive into these things, knowing that people will keep showing up as we get going, and that's all good. So, good morning, everyone. I'm going to go right to it and share my screen. And deep breaths. Welcome to the last of this series, session number 11, which is about gratitude. This is probably the most important one. I hope for people who've been listening all along, for those who've enjoyed the whole series, I hope that you've enjoyed it all, but I really do think this is probably the most important one. And before I get going too far, I'm going to give everyone about 30 seconds. What I want you to do is take your phone and I'd like you to send a text a message of gratitude to someone in your life. It could be a coworker, it could be a lover, it could be a friend, it could be a sibling. I'll leave it to you. It's the first person who you think of you that you want to acknowledge. Maybe they did something for you recently that made you feel good or that you appreciated or you noticed. Try to make your note to them something specific, and the more specific it is, we'll tell them a little bit of a story about why you're sharing this. By the way, I acknowledge this might feel a little strange and vulnerable to send to someone, especially if this is not something you usually do. But I'll give you 30 seconds to send a nice text to someone and then I'll continue on. Looks like everyone's looking at their phones. That's good. Okay, hopefully you guys can finish up as we get going here. I'm gonna go over the ground rules as usual. I have about 10 or 15 minutes worth of content again. Today, what we're going to do though is you can ask questions as I go. So when the session is over, when I'm done doing my thing, it's literally I'm gonna bounce out of here and head to the bar for a mimosa. So if you have questions, during the course of my session, ask the questions, type it in the thing. Rachel will stop me and interrupt me, and we'll cover off the questions. But there'll still be about 10 or 15 minutes worth of content about gratitude. Of course, use the washroom whenever you want. Please, turn your cameras off if you decide to go to the washroom or do something like that. We don't need to see that, but ideally keep your cameras on so to see everyone's faces as we move through things. And yes, everyone always asks, will you get a recording? As you all know by now, yes, you will get a copy of this recording that you can watch. The recordings will be up at least until the end of the month. On the page where I've posted all the special editions and all these clinics will be up till the end of the month, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how lazy I am over the holidays. But then they'll probably be going offline, and I'm not sure what I'm doing with them after that. But if you've missed something and you want to go back and see them, try to catch them before the end of this month. And of course, lastly, for the final time, please say hi to my co-pilot here, Rachel, in her very offensive Santa hat. I have to say, it's quite a risk, Rachel, these days to wear a Santa hat, but I like it. But you know. Anyways, thank you for helping me out, Rach, with these things. As you most of you know, I'm John Lepp. I'm a direct marketing, direct response, and direct mail expert and nerd. I've been doing this for a long time, probably more than 25 years now. I do love it very much. I'm an author of Creative Deviations and a partner with Jen Love at Agents of Good. And I actually want to start here with this idea of like agents of good. Jen and I, we started the business 15 years ago, I think. We built this idea of agents of good around the love of donors and the love of philanthropy and a love of each other. Jen and I have been working together already for quite some time, and we loved working together and collaborating together. We definitely shared a love of this craft of direct response and direct mail. And we both are creatives. So we both had a love of creativity, and we enjoyed being able to collaborate together and do all this work together. And that's that's where we sort of started. But also, it came from a love of our colleagues and friends, people like you who were here on this call today. The sort of love and the compassion and empathy that we have for all of you really has always fueled our work. You are really the true heart of Agents of Good, everything you do every day. And for that, I really want to make sure you guys understand that I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for not only showing up today for this, but showing up for us every single day in our work. I can't imagine anything more meaningful in this world than what we get to do with you guys every single day. And of course, to be truly grateful, for your work and for your donors and for your missions. Rachel and I talk about this all the time. It actually has to start from within. Gratitude has to start from within yourself. A love for yourself, a compassion for yourself, empathy for yourself. And so, I want this, I hope this really comes true that we do see you. I see you every single day. You are loved and appreciated by many, not just me, for your tireless work, not only in your professional lives, but your personal lives. These clinics have been really, really interesting and fun for me. We had about 762 people sign up for them all. Rachel and I were actually looking at some of the analytics. Funny enough, there's probably about 75 people who've never once clicked on anything that I've sent, not a single email, not a single video, which I always find really fascinating. But it doesn't matter. You guys have shown up week after week. You've watched the recordings. People are watching the recording right now. Thank you again for all of you who showed up for these clinics every other week. And I want to start with actually a gift as a thank you to all of you. I'm going to offer up 30 minutes of my time between now and the middle of February. All you need to do is click this QR code. It will take you to a page. If you want 30 minutes to talk shop, if you want to share recipes with me, photos of the dogs, whatever you want to do, I'm offering up 30 minutes of my time for you to do whatever you want as a gift for you guys and again all your amazing work. So I'll give you a couple more seconds to scan that if you wish, and then I will move on. So far, so good, Rach? Yeah. I'm going to share this. Back in the day when people used Twitter, I really loved Twitter when it first came out. I started using it very well. I had some amazing conversations with people, but you would get stuff like this, people quoting speakers at other conferences. And Roberta here says, "Don't waste time when sending a thank you. You'll miss the glow of receiving the gift." She was quoting Claire, of course. And then you had people like the whiny donor. Again, I loved the whiny donor. She was amazing. She was a real person. She was an actual donor, but she would say this: "I couldn't agree with this more. Wait too long to thank me, and my glow has become a slow burn." A lot of donors, when you talk to donors, they complain about not really knowing what you did with their money. The idea, it's not just about saying thank you, it's about telling them what you did with their money. So I want to start with this, one of the most simplistic things you can do in the context of gratitude. This was tested by our pal Frankie Ambregetti, who worked at UNICEF in Italy. In UNICEF in Italy, Frankie ran he's director of development, but ran the donor love department. And he tested this. He tested this idea. He found there's only two things he actually had to do. He had to send a handwritten thank you card within 48 hours of getting a gift, and he would call donors once a year on an anniversary or anniversary of their giving or something like that. These two most low-tech human things would basically equate to this: a 30% increase in retention and a 50% increase in lifetime value. And so I have the beautiful privilege of traveling not all over the world, but here and there in different parts of the world. And I ask people all the time, who here can't do these two most simplistic human low-tech things? Of course, I'd never have seen a hand go up, but there are very few people who do these things, these simple human touches. So if this is the only thing you remember today, this is the only thing you remember, I hope you remember this and start to apply in your work. There's like really in the context of fundraising, there's three simple things you need to do. You ask donors for support, you say thank you for that support, and you tell them what you did with their gift. This is where your annual appeals, your gratitude or thanking, and your newsletters all come into play with one another. I understand that this is the part you care about, the asking. But this is the part your donor cares about. What did you do with my gift? And do you appreciate it? Did you see me for making this effort? If you want a different way to look at this, here's a little graph, another one. You ask your donors for support, you say thank you for that support, and you tell them what you did with that gift. And these circles are proportionate. I mean, we spend so much time, I'm sure you've been spent all morning or all afternoon in your office already today talking about asking. We invest so much money in asking. If we invested even a fraction of that into our thanking, our stewardship, in telling donors what we did with their gift and making them feel really good about that, I'm telling you, your program would be dramatically different instantly. And the thing is, you'd have to do this all the time. Every time you ask, you have to say thank you, and you have to tell donors what you did with their gift, and you repeat over and over again. Thank you, Stephen Screen, for this sort of insight. But the ask, thanking, and reporting functionality, you just have to do this as often as you can. Every time you ask, make sure to do the two things. And trust me, you don't have to wait another, 6 months to ask again. If you do this properly, you can ask a donor right away again immediately because it feels good. And Tom, Tom always shares a slide in every presentation through the 20 years I've seen Tom presenting. He always has a slide. Your job is to make him, the donor, feel good, feel proud of himself, to feel wanted and needed. You can entertain donors like Tom. Tom wants to feel happy and pleased. So that's your job as a fundraiser.
John, can I interrupt you for a minute?
Absolutely.
We do have a question which I think you can answer very well right now. Carrie Ann was just saying there's some donors that she has who aren't monthly donors, but they give like 7, 8 donations a year. Would you send a card or acknowledgement after every single gift?
There's one of the sessions I did around meso fundraising, Carrie Ann. I talked about like that top 20% of your donors. They would be in there. I think you have to start thinking about how can I go beyond a card for these people? They are doing a lot of magical things for you, and maybe just a handwritten card is not going to cut it. What other special things can I do for them or to bring them insight? Can I invite them to something? Can I let them have a tea with our ED? You need to bring them in closer. They want to be closer than just a card. So again, I'm talking about it as a blanket to your whole program. Again, happy to talk more about that, but hopefully that sort of answers the question. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Thank you, Carrie Ann. Penelope Burke has actually done some research on this. I'm sure most of you have heard of Penelope Burke. She basically says there's three critical things you have to do and must do before the donor is going to give again. She has to get a prompt and unique and sincere thank you. She should be giving details about the program or project they help support. And you should promise to follow up with a meaningful and measurable report on what you've done with their gift and actually do these things. This is the key thing to this whole three things. You have to actually do these things. So what does this look like? This is one I've talked about Dale, my mother-in-law. At one point, because I'm a little weird like this, I sat down and went through a year and a bit of all of her mail. Dale had about 600 pieces of mail that she got over the course of 1 year. She's here in Canada. If she was in the US, that would be a lot more. So that's quite a small number, 600 pieces of mail. And I went through everything. And this was the only piece that I found that showed some gratitude. Dale wasn't keeping it for herself. She was giving me everything, and there was only one out of all the 600 pieces of mail that showed her any level of gratitude. And this was it. It was a simple envelope. The card was on a really kind of cheap stock. It wasn't anything fancy. And on the inside, it had this message that was lasered in. The signature also was just printed in. And even the Dear Dale, if you look really closely, that's just a handwritten font. No one actually took the time to cross off dear friend and put in her name. They actually kind of fabricated that in. Dale wrote on the envelope, whoops, to me, she said, this was much appreciated and will be remembered. They will go to the top four of my donation list. This was from a practitioner point of view, I'm like, This wasn't even that good. Like if you actually read it and look at it, it was cheap. It wasn't that cheerful. It was very fabricated. They put next to no effort into it. But this was the impact it had on Dale, which is like now I'm gonna look at these guys all the time. So there's your bar. Like the bar is extremely low for some of you, and I can see some of you on this call that I know actually do this stuff very, very well. I know you're spending a lot of time in gratitude. And I'm hoping you're seeing the donor, the way they talk to you and communicate to you and give to you is dramatically different than if you weren't doing it. I know it is because it's a rare occasion to get anything from donors, from a charity that I've given to. But here's an example of mine. This is one that came from the Redwood, which is a charity that I love. Same thing. It was a sort of a 5x7 envelope, and this one actually, again, they'd handwritten on the front. I could tell that an actual human wrote this, which was nice. Had a nice first class stamp. Of course, I tore it open. It had this nice card on the inside with this child drawing. The Redwood is a shelter for women and children who are escaping domestic violence. So I love the card. It was really, really quite appropriate. It had this paper clip. I've talked about paper clips before. And when I open it, they paperclip my receipt, that transactional part to the top. Simple. Love it. I can pull it off, put it into my file, ready for tax time. And down below, they wrote this message. Dear John, thank you so much for your wonderful gift of 250 for the Summer Fun campaign, specifically the barbecue fun in Redwood Park. It will be a fantastic treat. You're always very kind to women and children staying with us. Thank you for being such a wonderful supporter. Have a beautiful summer. This checks Penelope's every box to a T. They were specific about my gift. They were told me what it did, and they made me feel really, really good about it. They could have called me the same day, and I would have given them another $250 immediately because I felt so amazing. They didn't, and I don't know why, because I wish they had done. Because I would have, like I said, I would have given them another 250 right away because it felt good for me, the donor. I felt really good about what I'd done, and I could see that I was going to make a difference. So this is again, this is your bar. Does this take some time and effort? Absolutely. It does take a little bit of time and effort. Your hand might cramp out. Get your volunteers involved, but you should be writing these cards the best you can. People always say to me, well, our program's too big. We get too many gifts, which I know is not. It's probably not true. You're not getting hundreds, maybe if you're UNICEF, you're getting hundreds and hundreds of donations a day, but probably there's a way to keep this manageable. And the more you can do this, the better off your program will be.
I have another question for you, John.
I had a feeling you might.
Joy is asking, what's a unique way to incorporate a thank you or report back in a newsletter? They do one every month.
Say that again. Sorry.
What's a unique way to incorporate like that reporting back or thank you element in a newsletter that they do every month?
Yeah, I mean that's great if you're doing a newsletter every month. That's fantastic. I mean, whether it's really short or a bit longer, you should be talking about specific things that I've heard about in my inbox, in my mailbox that you've been asking me for support on. Whether I gave to it doesn't matter, and it should talk about how that's going, what's some impact, the things you were able to change because of gifts. This is just really simple, like simple things we do this with our friends all the time. We sit down and catch up after a couple, a month or two apart. That's all we're doing is like, hey, remember I was talking about this? You want to hear what happened to that? Oh my God, it was like this. This is the same kind of thing. You're bringing your donors up to speed on the things that they're plugged into that you're working on and stuff. So don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be that complicated, but newsletters, which I'll quickly mention later on, again, are perfect vehicles for here's things you've been hearing about. Here's how they're going. Thank you for making that happen. By the way, we still need to raise more money for this or that. They're great vehicles for the three things: asking, thanking, and reporting back an impact.
Amazing. Thank you.
Pleasure. I want to take a look at another great thank you that I've shared before. This was an actual automated, like this came into my inbox. It was automated. No one sat down the moments after me giving to write this. It was already automated, but it probably puts the sort of hard copy you might be using, template you have shoved away somewhere to shame. And I want to show you why it's so good. First of all, it was personalized. It wasn't dear friend or on behalf of the board of blah, blah, blah. It was dear John. Really, really simple. It has more U's than we. Seriously, count all of yours. This one has 16 U's in 110 words. The reading ease on this, if you run through the Flesh Kincaid scoring, the reading ease is like 90%. It's like written at a grade 3 reading level. This is exceptional. This is so, so good. It speaks to specifically to what the gift was for, so be as specific as possible when you talk about saying thanks to donors, what the gift was going towards. You remind them of your shared victories, the things that you keep accomplishing together because they're there with you along for the ride all the time. Whether they're actively giving or not, they're still there with you, helping you out. It invites personal contact, especially if you can make yourself, talked about this, if you can make yourself accessible to your donors, they will take advantage of it. That may be a pain in your butt because it means you have to talk to old people maybe a lot of the time. But trust me, this is what we all want. We want personal connection with other human beings. We don't want to give to computers and robots. So don't hide from your donors. Be accessible to your donors. It's honest and heartfelt and uses simple, plain, emotional, vulnerable language. It's perfect. They should sign off with something memorable. Kathy's here doesn't. She just says with thanks, but she could have said something like yours for helping those with dementia forever. That would have been a bit better. So something a bit more. It's hand signed. This was electronic, but still, they went on their way to put in Kathy's signature, which I loved. And it has lots of good human feelings. When your donor reads the card, this automated email, they're left with this lasting impression that when they gave a gift to you, it was completely the right decision. Kind of bonus round. Dr. Jen Shang, who also was featured in our special clinics, she talks about the 9 moral adjectives that move people. Those 9 adjectives are caring, compassionate, fair, friendly, generous, helpful, honest, hardworking, and kind. It's because these adjectives describe a core sense of who we actually are, or a core sense of who we ideally want to be. So when we reflect these things back to donors, that actually unlocks their giving and they actually feel a lot more seen. I talked about the Redwood already. I want to come back to them again. I do. Their gratitude program has been dynamite through the years, like really, really well. They do the idea of thanking extremely well. This is a small collection of thank you letters and love that they've sent to me over the years. And like literally, this is like a fraction of all the things they've sent to me. They spent a lot of time with sticky notes and handwritten notes, making sure that I as a donor feel seen and appreciated. The thing I like about the Redwood is that they know it's not just like the ED's responsibility to say thank you. In other words, everyone at this organization has a hand in gratitude, director of development, people with gift processing, and I want to share another example with you. Oops, baby.
This is Anthea Windsor, President of the Board at the Redwood. Having just learned that you gave such a generous gift to our Summer campaign, and really, given all the work you did with well, I think you are the agent of the good, aren't you, on our wonderful annual report, and being such a loyal donor. I just thought I would wish you a happy long weekend, and thank you for making it better for folks at the Redwood. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
So I love this for a few reasons because first of all, it did come on the Friday of a long weekend. Which was a big surprise for me. It sounded kind of unscripted. I don't think that she was working from a heavy script. She just spoke from her heart and shared the things that she wanted to feel. I like the fact it was a bit awkward. She knew she was talking to someone that had some connection, and maybe yeah, she could have had a little more information there, but it definitely was heartfelt. And even Penelope would say that some of the best people to do thank you calls are your board members because of their status. So they are sometimes some of the best people to make calls or do handwritten cards and stuff. So get your board members also involved in this stuff, ideally. And sometimes they send me things like this sort of handmade or fresh off their laser printer, which I absolutely love. They're adorable, very appropriate for this organization. Sometimes they've come a bit randomly, and they're usually pretty cheesy, which again is something that speaks to me. I do like it. But these are simple things that will have massive, massive impact on your donors. Here's another one, video.
Hi Tanya, this is Claire McDowell from Small Change Fund. I'm just sending you this video to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your donation, Tanya.
I love like this is so simple. I love it. It's like we all have these things that we already used on this call already. These you can shoot these so quickly and they're cheesy and they're fun. Your donor's smiling, you're smiling. Anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. And I'm again, if you've not just understood this yet, please do these things. It'll make a big difference. Okay, let's see if we got an example.
The music is not, the sound's not coming through,
Is
John.
that coming through?
No.
Okay, that's too bad. Another example, again, it was very kind of low tech. If I remember, I'll try to post links to these in the email when I send out the video from today. That's helpful for people. But again, people just they didn't hire $100,000 production team to shoot for 2 years to like make this high production video. They did it as quickly and simply as possible. I have one more example I want to share with you that is a little more elevated. This is like another level up if you want to go to the next level of doing a good grad shoot video.
The music's not really working, but we can read it.
Yeah.
No.
Drat. That's too bad. That's a good one. Again, I'll post it in the thing. It's one that we did for Habitat for Humanity. And again, it was for a Mother's Day video, but it was saying thank you to donors for creating spaces for moms to be able to live with their kids at Habitat. It was great, great shoot. So again, that was something we made for them. We shot it and produced it for an event that they were having, where they're inviting their high-level donors in for an event around Mother's Day. So get another piece, which again, I will try to actually send you a link or embed the video into the email when I send that out next day or two. Okay.
John,
Yes.
Megan has a question for gratitude videos. Is needing to click on a link to the video the worst? Or should I do it anyway? Like a link to YouTube?
Is it the worst?
Is it the worst? I think it's okay. Like you don't need the video to be embedded in the email if
Uh,
the,
If it's
yeah.
difficult, like I use like all my emails, Megan. Like I use MailChimp. I don't know what people using all different kinds of things. It depends on the mail system. Like even my emails I send out, I can't embed a YouTube video. I have to post a picture, and when you click on it's linked to a YouTube video. It's something you can test it if you can do both. You could try embedding versus a link to an external page. If you want more analytics, linking to an external page is not a bad thing, especially like a YouTube or an internal page on your website versus just in your email. But it just depends on your website. But I don't know, and I've never seen any data that suggests that embedding is better or worse than anything else.
Yeah,
So
I think some people are just saying sometimes people are scared to click on links. But I do think if it's from a trusted source and you're pretty clear, you're just sharing the video as a thank you. And also you can put them on your social media,
yes.
things like that as well. But
And you can say that in the email. Hey, we have this picture. If you click it, you're going to go to YouTube because we put it there. It's okay. Don't worry. It's, like be just if you think that's a thing for your people, then just say so. It's totally fine.
yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Donor newsletters, of course, as we quickly just briefly talked about a couple minutes ago, they're great places for gratitude. They're fantastic places to, again, ask for more support, to tell donors the impact of their giving, and again, to say thank you in all the different ways you possibly can. Things like gratitude reports, are another like perfect piece. We do a lot of gratitude reports in our work. I'd love to talk more about gratitude reports, but I think unfortunately it's gonna have to wait for another day. And other examples, there's no end to ideas and things you can do in the context of gratitude. You're only limited by your imagination and perhaps the size of your heart. So the more heart you can put into it, the better.
I have
Rachel?
one more great question. Are gratitude reports separate or different from annual reports?
Oh, thank you. That sounds like a leading question. I don't know
A
who applied.
Mary question.
Yes, I mean, we do gratitude reports. Donors want to read gratitude reports. Leave the annual reports to Freightliners and IBM. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, your donors want to see in a pie chart maybe how you spent their money. What does it go towards? What does it do? What programs are you investing in? But a gratitude report should be filled with love and appreciation. It should tell an amazing story. The further it is away from your boring graphic standards, the better usually. The more interesting it is to donors and stuff. So yeah, again, I could do a whole session just on gratitude reports because there are a bunch of great examples on our website and places like Sophie. So check them out. But yeah, leave the annual reports to the corporations. We're not in that space, or we shouldn't be. So. Um, is that okay? Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
So I am starting to wind down here because again, I'm trying to keep the content to a certain amount of time, and again, recognizing this is not supposed to be exhaustive. I can't cover everything, but I am wrapping this up. We always have space for like one or two new clients who want to smash their fundraising goals, and if that's you, just reach out. We do things like I've emailed about audits before. I think we're going to relaunch the live audits probably sometime in the springtime. I'd love to have like 20 people sign up for that. That would be fantastic. But Agents of Good does lots of audits on your programs. We'll look at all your appeals. We'll look at all the things you're doing and give you lots of suggestions and advice and practical things you can change immediately to help them raise more money. Jen, I do a lot of coaching for clients one-on-one if that's what you're looking for. We have some great creatives like Rachel and myself and a bunch of others who you just need help writing. You need some help designing your next piece. Your marketing comms team is a little, whatever, they're a bit flat. These are things we can talk to you about. So please just reach out. We're always happy to talk to people. And if we can help, we will. Definitely advise you to pick up Lisa Sargent's new book, which I just got. I've not read it yet, but I know Lisa and I love her very, very, very much. And it's a great little full-size book. It's not as quite as thick as mine, but has lots of nice pictures. And I know Lisa, it's going to be fantastic. But that might be a big book to buy yourself for Christmas. And I want to come back to this. I want to know. I'll just stop sharing my screen actually for a second. Did anyone get any messages back? And does anyone want to unmute themselves and share something they got back from someone? Don't be shy. Come on, that's not the time.
Hello.
Oh, here we go.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a gratitude story to share, which I thought it made my whole day. I work at a library and I called a donor to thank her for her gift. And a few days later, I was working in my office and the circulation desk called and said there was someone to see me. I didn't know the person, but I came out and she said she wanted to meet me because I called to thank her for her gift. And it was the most personal, meaningful thing to her. And she just had to meet me. So I just wanted to give that story to
Perfect. Beautiful.
support what you said about the simplicity of calling and writing cards and the difference that those simple things can make. Thank you for this series. And I did learn about this series from Lisa Sargent. So I was so glad to see that you gave a plug for her amazing book.
Of course.
I recommend it so
Lovely
much.
stuff. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks.
Does anyone else have something they want to share that they got back in their text messages or something?
I have one to share,
Excellent.
Melissa. I had this past spring a gentleman who referred a woman to us, and she ended up being she's a great donor. But the gentleman that referred to her had not given to our organization since 2020. So I just wrote a thank you note to him and thanked him for the referral and thanked him for being an advocate for Third Street Academy. And I just got his year-end gift, and it's double what he gave back in 2020.
Amazing. That's beautiful. Yeah. Woo! Yes, it works. Amazing. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, let's do one more. Does anyone else have something that got texted back to them in the last couple minutes? Just one more. Anybody? All right. Everyone's being very shy. So I will finish off and then go back to sharing my screen. Boom. Boom.
Connie says they haven't even read it yet. So there we
Oh,
go.
okay. Well, everyone's busy, so that's fine. Um, like one of my favorite singers, Chris Martin of Coldplay, says, in the end, it's all about the love you're pouring out. And I love that, just very simple phrase, because being thankful makes you more thankful. It also makes you happier. It also gives you something that you'll want to feel over and over again. And so the point is this idea of being thankful, and again, this is something Rachel and I talk all the time. I sometimes struggle with my own internal gratitude for myself and my efforts. This is a decision and power that is yours that you can use whenever you want. And you can give someone this, and you can have it for yourself at the same time. And that really is a beautiful thing. So I'll leave you with this final idea that in the end, the love you take is equal to the love that you make. This is for our work, this is for our craft, this is for each other, and this is for yourself. I see you in your work every single day. You are loved by myself and many, many, many others and appreciated for your tireless work. I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate that. And so, from the bottom of my heart, I'm wishing all of you plenty of peace and prosperity and love into into the new year. And thank you for joining me on this series. It's been amazing for me, and I'm hoping for all of you. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you somewhere down the road another time, sooner rather than later. So thank you, everyone. I'm gonna stop sharing. And like I said, head to the bar for a mimosa.
Thanks,
Happy
everyone.
holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. Love
Bye.
you.